The others found strength in their projections. They became reliant.
Your lives are meaningless! Rain of stars! Glorious flames! Be utterly annihilated!
Warrant all this pain.
Why run? What's the point? Be utterly annihilated! Glorious flames!
For death, my heart races. I am. Feel the thrill of
The force is doomed! Everlasting fire!
Good morning, gamers! I'm here with my not a minion build, despite having 12 minions. But, yeah. So, this build is Glacial Hammer of Shattering, Elementalist Ignite. And let's just go over the gear. So, we're building around the weapon, the Winds of Fate. Basically, this is the highest DPS staff in the game, but it comes with a massive downside of having your max crit be 50% and also your non-crits do no damage. So the way we build around this is with the Glacial Hammer of Shattering says every third hit in a row is a crit, and this overrides the maximum crit chance line of this item. So you can get really big hits every third attack, which in the gem links we have Awakened Ellie. Eventually this will make me Reflect Immune, and then Burning Damage, Unbound Ailments, Awakened Deadly Ailments, and Multi-Strike. So Multi-Strike is the key thing here. The third repeat, so if I just click it once and I go, the multi-strike will actually count towards the repeated in a row hits. So the last hit of multi-strike will be the crit, which will actually override this and do pretty big damage. So that's the main premise of the build. We are running Perfect Agony, so to take advantage of the crit multi scaling from the amulet here. So amulet here, Marylene's Fallacy. This is the best in slot. It's hard. It's really impossible to beat this unless you can somehow get. You'd probably have to get like a reflected, misted crit multi with maybe plus gems. But I'm not going to spend a mirror on an amulet. This works just fine. Adds about like 50% damage. And I just anointed this Defiled Forces to refresh the ignites on enemies you curse. I don't really know if it works the way I think it does. It doesn't seem to like make the curse or to make the ignite last infinitely, as I was just testing in some bosses, but I don't know. People are using this, so it was pretty cheap to put on too. And then we're using the Dark Monarch here. This doubles our Golem limit, which synergizes well with Primordial Bond, which is a notable on a cluster jewel. Basically, what that does is just give us like 140% increased damage. So without this helmet, I would basically lose 70% increased damage. So not the craziest downside if you don't have this, but it also helps you double up your golems. So I have like 2 stone golems, 2 lightning golems, and 2 ice golems. So in case, one of them dies, there won't be a gap in either my accuracy, my attack speed, or my global defenses and regen. So it just helps having a little bit of redundancy there, because default golem limit without this is, I believe, 4 if you take the ascendancy and then the skill tree node. So you can't really double up on them without this helmet. And for the golems, we're doing 1 stone golem, 1 of hordes. This is the one that has 4, so it does actually double this maximum limit, so you can have a little bit more. It's a little tight on gems. As you can see, I'm wearing a unset ring just to fit everything, but this does give us a little bit more damage, a little bit more tank, a little bit more things to absorb hits, because the playstyle is not the greatest. You kind of have to hit 3 times before you do any damage, so it's nice to have other things in the way. Flame Golem just for more damage, more AoE, which doesn't really impact anything except maybe our Flame Surge. Frostblink just to move around. And then of course we're wearing Barracks Respite. This is the best prolif in the game. It's, I think, 2 radius, so it's bigger than the gloves, but it doesn't scale off AoE. So I use this for mapping, and for any single target, I just put on Polaric Devastation to cover the enemies in Ash. And moving on to the gloves, we have just a bunch of Energy Shield on a good quality base. I hit these with whatever essence of max Energy Shield is. I believe it's Woe, and they were like 1 or 2 chaos each for this tier. I didn't go with the full tier. I just wanted to make something playable. Rolled that until I got some decent other percent, and then maybe a res. Yeah, we got the strike skills for the implicits and fire exposure. And chess piece. This was, I believe, some dense fossil action. Just hit that until I got a number that was around 1,000 ES. And then we're taking 10 as Fizz, or 10 Fizz as Chaos, and then crit multi for attack damage, which scales are ignites. The ring, which is unset. I believe I smashed this with some fossils until I hit max ES and percent ES. And then Stone Golem of Safeguarding. This one will take some melee damage from its life instead of you. As you can see here, it's 48% scaled up from the various ascendancy and passive tree notables. So most of the time you're pretty safe for melee attacks. The big scary things are like ranged shotgun stuff. And in the chest gems, we got Enlighten linked to all of our auras. We're running Precision, Purity of Elements, Discipline, Herald of Purity, and Herald of Ash. I'm a little bit too lazy to get a 6 link here. My mana is kind of running low, but maybe one day I'll get to linking this. And then we have the combo of Olesia's Delight and Ralakesh. So we're frenzy stacking, kind of, and we're turning those frenzy charges into affliction charges sometimes. I notice a lot in these clips that I'm not actually hitting multiple times. It's mostly because I don't need to. If I went to do some harder content like Ubers or Juice T17s, I'd probably need these charges to be up, but it's semi-unreliable, and I think I'd rather do something different with these 2 slots. I just haven't gotten around to it because it works just fine. And the frenzies do give a little bit extra attack speed when you really need to get that attacks, those first initial attacks off. Boots, we just got Leap Slam, Ice Golem, Faster Attacks, and Lightning Golem. Like I said, the sockets on here are pretty starved. Just for the flask stuff, just movement speed buffs, onslaught, quicksilver. The tincture is very powerful. I often forget to press it though. And then roomies for a little bit of block. I'm currently sitting at 47 attack and 36 spell block. So with that active, it goes a little bit higher. Not going to make me super tanky or anything because the tree is very thin, and I'd like to go more into block if I could, which would involve dropping the Delight and the Relic Cache. Let's just move on to the passive tree here. So we got a lot of traveling going on. Of course, we are an Elementalist for the all damage can ignite. This combined with Perfect Agony make a great ailment build if you can get your critical chance to 100. And then we're stealing Mastermind of Discord with the Forbidden combo, so this will turn my exposure into like negative 30 something resistance, which is very nice. And then we're taking Shaper of Storms for the Always Shock. I believe I'm sitting at like a 40% guaranteed shock right now, which, you know, could go up to 50 with, I think, 2 or 3 skill points. And then, yeah, of course, the mandatory one for the Golems, which gives us +2 max. Bigger buffs, they get resummoned, they're immune to elemental damage. This node is insane. And we used to do a little bit of Herald stacking, but I brought it down to 2 once I needed to fit Discipline into my auras. But this still gives, I think, like 30 or something % damage, since we have Herald of Ash and then Herald of Purity giving us more physical. So pretty good, you know, ascendancy point here. We are obviously not able to meet any of our like attribute requirements at all. We need like 155 strength for this. We need dex for precision, and I think we need dex for something else too. 100 something more strength and like 70 more dex, which, you know, we're pretty strapped on like suffixes in this build. We opted for Supreme Ostentation, so do not need to fulfill those requirements. And then I looked for one with this notable right here. So this is just 10% frenzy. This is where our frenzies come from when we need them. So we just, if you need them on a boss, just keep hitting, and you might, you know, get up to the 6 affliction charges. Path over here for some ES. And on all these tattoo nodes, these are all tattooed with Herald buffs. This probably equates to like 25-ish% more damage. It's not the whole tree yet, but these are pretty cheap, especially comparing to the alternatives, which is like %ES. Those are insanely expensive right now. So I opted for these just for more damage, since we don't care about the int nodes. And then, yeah, going up here for Ignite, dealing damage faster, increase global defenses for the Rune Graft, Pathin over here for CI and Double Curse, of course, regen some ES. We got a Intuitive Leap here, giving us the Frenzy, bit of accuracy, bit of extra ES, and then this Mana Node, which I do need for my reservations and to use my ability. So if I linked this, I could probably drop this, pick up a different node somewhere else. And then, yeah, we're traveling all the way down here to Perfect Agony and the other Frenzy. And over on the other side, we got the Golem Commander and some Herald stuff here. And then a nice Prismatic Jewel here for fire damage. This gives us about, I think, 16 to 20% more damage. Yeah, pathing down to the spell block. These ultimately give us like, I think, 20-something% spell block, which is pretty helpful. And then, yeah, going up to the Heart of Flame just for more fire damage. These are pretty inefficient nodes, unfortunately, since we do have a lot of increased damage on this build, but the Fire Mastery makes it worth it for extra -5. Energy Shield stuff, and then here is one of the main damage sources. This whole wheel is insanely good. This is like 140% increased damage, or 120. And yeah, of course, we got the Forbiddens and Wasting Affliction. So just faster ignites and a little bit more damage. if you get a Primordial Bond and Renewal Cluster Jewel, the Renewal will always be back here. Otherwise, Primordial Bond is where Renewal would be. So you have to go like way out of the way. Okay. Yeah, pathing over to Zealot's Oath, some Aura stuff, some more Energy Shield stuff, and the Staff Mastery for increased defenses with a little bit more block over there. So that's the current tree. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not the fastest build ever, but it's also pretty strong in terms of single target. Like, you kind of hit once and anything dies. And then if I were to push this to like level 100, I'd definitely want to get Safeguard with the block mastery for increased spell block, because that would give you like 20 something if you went all the way there, which would nearly cap you out. Let's talk about the Mercenary real quick. And so I'm using I found a Dex Int one with Grace Malevolence, very nice. And we just have him equipped with some random crap. These weapons should be Malevolence Aura Effect Hunter Rune Daggers, but those are really expensive and I did not get to buying them. We got Leer Cast just for some more increased damage. Shaper Seed helps you regenerate your ES just from Zealot's Oath. It's very nice. Also gives you some mana regen. We have Grace Effect on all three of these pieces, so I believe it's like a 25 level of Grace. So if you can see here, my evasion without him is 2,000, and if we go to the Mine Encampment, I am boosted up to 17,000 evasion. And then we got Combs Binding just for more Fizz Convert to Fire. And that's the build. Thank you guys for watching. If you want my recommendation, just play Eviscerate.